Good evening, everyone. Bonsoir à tous et à toutes, and welcome to tonight's presentation of OTF Connects on technology integration in mathematics with Crystal Lake. We have a fairly large group tonight, and I can see Sue has her microphone on. Thanks, Sue. No worry. So yeah, we have a fairly large group tonight, so it's going to be very interesting and very exciting for all of you to participate and share your ideas. We are thrilled to have so many of you, as we can see on the map, with many people in central Ontario, but also from the north end of the city, for the north end of the province, sorry. I've had the pleasure and the privilege of moderating for Crystal a few weeks ago. It was only my second OTF session, and I think that for Crystal it was actually her very first one. We were both quite a bit anxious and nervous, but I would say that Crystal did a fantastic job. And she is an incredibly enthusiastic and joyful person, as you will surely notice tonight, and she's clearly passionate about mathematics. Her last session was really fun and interactive, and I expect that tonight's session won't be any different. So at this point, without further ado, I will pass the microphone to Crystal and let her keep introducing herself. So Crystal, feel free to click on your talk button to turn your microphone on, and then go ahead with your presentation anytime you wish.
Hi everyone, can you hear me okay? I just want to make sure that the volume's good. Are we good? Perfect.
Yeah,
okay.
We can hear you well, Crystal. We can hear you very well.
Okay, good, because today's been a busy day. I have a bit of a cold. I just found out today that I have strep throat, and upon coming out of the doctor's office, I had a flat tire. So it was a great afternoon, but I made it back home in time. So it's all good. I have some water. You just might hear me cough a bit. I might turn my mic off, take some water, and continue, but all is good. So, as Michelle said, this is I'm fairly new to the presentations, but it is my third presentation, and so I'll do my best here. But yeah, so this is a picture of me. As I said last time, I put it on here just because I find when I was watching the other presentations, I like to know what the person looked like. So I just put up there for your interest. But yeah, so I am a numeracy consultant with the Catholic District School Board of Eastern Ontario. And we're located, we kind of go where Kingston ends, a little town called Gananoque, and we go all the way to the Quebec border. And then I like to say we come up and we hug Ottawa. So we're like rural Ottawa. And if you could see me now, I'm hugging, I'm making the hugging sign, but that's just me. So, and I live just kind of in Kemptville, which is about half an hour to 45 minutes from Ottawa, depending on where I'm going. My experience mainly is primary, junior, intermediate, but I started off teaching grade 9 and 10, but I've taught everything since. I've had experiences as a special education resource teacher, and I have a secret passion for autism, as my son is on the spectrum, but high functioning, and he's made me a better teacher, so it's a lot of fun. And I also had the opportunity within my board to have a small role as a technology integration educator, where I supported schools with technology integration in a variety of subjects, and it was a lot of fun. And this year I got my Microsoft Innovative Expert Trainer certification. So I'm glad you guys heard the Thousand Islands. Gananoque definitely is a beautiful area. And I'm going to let you know this just before we get started. I really want to get through my presentation, so I'm going to try and focus as much as I can on my presentation. And I've been told I might be a little too generous in my comments with the chat, because there's so much chat going on. Feel free to help each other with the questions. If there's something you really want, that's where the raise hand feature really helps me, because it dings me and it makes me stop. But I'll try to glance over, but I'm kind of like a squirrel and I'm easily distracted. So, so yeah. So before we get started, I'm just going to ask a few questions. If you've been a part of my sessions before, I like to get to know you so that I can make sure I spend time on the right things. So if you can take a symbol again and just kind of plop it in one or multiple boxes. If you support many grades, then plop it in. I just want to get an idea of what I'm doing and what I'm working with here, so I can make sure not to spend time on things that are too much. Okay, I like that I see a lot of primary out. It looks like I'm kind of across the board, and I got primary autism. So a lot of the primary apps, and I'll talk to you, I've tested them out with my son, looking for that independence piece. He's in senior kindergarten, so it'll give an idea. So we got an array here. So I will do my best to meet your needs. And if you have a specific question, just let me know. If you're like, I want to know how that might look in a grade 1 class, I'll do my best. And if I don't know today, I'll get back to you. So that's my promise. Teacher said that to me once, and I thought it was good, and I believe in it. So I'm just curious here. This might not be something your school board does, but are there anyone here that are using Google Apps for Education, or anyone using Office 365? And if you're not using anything, or if you're doing like a BYOB, no, bring your own device, you could put that in there too. Sorry about that. Okay, so I'm not spending a lot of time on Google Apps, and I'm not spending a lot of time on Office, but there's a couple points. Welcome, Julie, don't worry about being late. Stickers are in, so there's a toolbar on the side of the chat sort of area. If you pick the bottom one that looks like a picture, if you click it and then click common symbols, you should be able to get that. Let me know if it works. If not, I'm sure Michelle will be able to help you out. Okay, so we do have a bring your own device. Okay. On a nut. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to get started just because I have a lot I want to get through. So this is what I want to get through today. So I want to review the 21st century learning skills and competencies for today. I always start my technology presentations talking about some of the theoretical pieces so you can understand where I'm coming from. So I'm just briefly going to review the SAMR model, the TPACK model, and you might see that often. So you might have seen it before. Maybe I'm going to give you a different video on it, which would be really good too. I'm going to talk about the different types of apps that are out there. There's consumption, creative, something just came up on my screen. Do you guys see that? I think someone pasted it.
Did you click? Okay.
I just got it.
Okay, so I thought maybe you clicked on share your desktop. You know, there's an icon at the bottom, the third icon at the top, you know, application sharing. So
yeah, I didn't have that, but
yeah.
But we're good.
Yeah, we're
good.
We're back to normal. Okay.
No problem. And then I'm going to look at and then I'm going to look at the 3-part lesson plan and kind of see how technology can fit into each portion. I can't share everything, so what I've done is just taken a few ideas and given you something to think about, and that's all I'm asking you to do. Is I want you to think of your own classroom, reflect, and maybe I hope that you walk away with 1 or 2 new things that you can use in your class or try. That's my hope. And hopefully I'm successful, and you'll let me know that. Okay, so here we go. So to get started, there's been a change. Change in the classroom is kind of something that students want and the province wants. So I thought this was a really appropriate video to kind of start off. It talks about kind of what students want. So I want you to watch the video. So if you can click on the link that Michelle's put in the chat, and then we'll go watch it, and we'll come back and talk about it. So the video is just under 3 or 4 minutes, so we'll watch that, and then I'll start my little chat with it. Sorry, I forgot to mention, you just have to scroll down a little bit. It's in EduGames, and it's the first video there. It's called Changing Classroom Practice. Sorry about that.
Crystal. For me, it's not working. I don't know for other people, but for me, it's actually a document. It's opening a document. I don't know. Can you check it?
I just checked it, and it's working for me. So I clicked on it. It came to a website, and I scrolled down, and you see, I didn't click on the link changing practice. I clicked on the video. So if not, I can share my screen. So so when you go in, click on the actual image of the picture, there's a video. If you click on the link, a document comes up. So click on the picture. And let me know if that helps you, Michelle. And anyone else. Okay, I'm seeing a few of you are starting to come back. Oh wow, many of you beat me back. I'm so sorry. Okay, so most of you are back, so we just watched that video, and I just thought it was a really good video. I mean, it was put out by and supported by the ministry, and I know you guys are eager to make change, otherwise you wouldn't be here, which I'm very appreciative that you are here. And just again, throughout this presentation, I want you to think about a couple of things that you can go back and share with your staff or a colleague or your principal, because what we need to do is continue to share in order for change to happen. And we need to see this happen because we have our 21st century students that we're teaching to. And yeah, this little video reminded me, I had the opportunity to see Doug Fisher. I'm not sure if you guys have heard of him. He has a book about achieving a positive culture. I don't know the name of it. I don't have it on me, but really, really good speaker. And he just kind of said, you know, the learning in school isn't necessarily about the curriculum per se. It's the way we teach it, and it's about building the relationships along the way, which one of the girls alluded to in the video. So I thought it was pretty fitting. So the reality is we're teaching these students and we're preparing them for jobs that probably don't even exist. And that's something we have to keep in mind. I know it seems odd. There's going to be some jobs there. Can I repeat the name? Doug Fisher. So I just saw on Monday. I would have had it in my presentation, but it's just like that with capitals. Sorry, I'm trying to be fast. So yeah, so the 21st Century Competencies is a document that was put out by the ministry in the winter of 2016. So it's fresh, it's hot off the press, and Ontario continues to promote and support technology integration, and more money, you know, is being put into that, just as there's the big release of extra money. That's awesome, Vera. So just as the ministry's putting money towards math, so it's kind of, I'm trying to bring both together of what I know now. I know you guys probably have great ideas too, but things we need to be making sure that are coming across to our students is that they're critical thinking, that they're communicating, collaborating, and they're using their creativity. And that piece, those four pieces are kind of the pieces that I think about when I am integrating technology. Not always are they collaborating, not always are they communicating, but sometimes after we do our piece on the technology, we do communicate and talk about it after and collaborate about how we can improve upon it and things like that. So just keep that in mind as I go through. And then I'm going to get through just a couple little more pieces of theory before I hop right into the good stuff. So this here is the SAMR model. Can you just give me a check mark if you have heard of the SAMR model before? Okay, so there's a few of you that, actually a number of you, good. So if you have, great. I have had, Michelle's put another link in here. I really like this video if you haven't seen it, and even if you had, it's just a different video that you can bring back to your staff, but it just talks about the mindful integration of technology and how we do it. So we're going to take just another 3 or 4 minutes to watch this video and have a brief discussion about it before I hop into things. So if you can click on the link again, it'll bring you to the video, and this time it should just be there. And again, okay, looks like most of you are back. Yeah, I think I've got most people back. So, so what I really, I've seen SAMR Model videos. I've seen one like a Starbucks coffee, and people are just explaining it. But what I like about this one most is that they talk about how the SAMR model can be like a pool, and you can swim kind of between the levels all the time, and that's okay, and I really like that. Because initially when I was learning about the SAMR model, I saw it initially as like a ladder, and that I always had to be redefining or modifying my learning, and I think that it doesn't always have to be. Sometimes it is just direct substitution, but it's just a little bit more engaging for our students, and that's what they said too, is that really it's how the teacher uses it, and the ultimate outcome is just to maximize student success. So I just think that the SAMR model is just for you to be a little bit more reflective. And so when I think about the SAMR model and how it might look with technology in the math classroom, this is kind of what I came up with. So a direct substitution might be the use of a virtual manipulative to highlight the connection between decimal percents and fractions. So maybe there's a question that says, I don't know, just something that relates to that. Another one could be using, so for augmentation, the second level, we could use a smartboard, and it replaces the chartboard and marker. And so what would happen is you could have all student solutions posted on one page of the Smart Notebook file, and then the teacher can annotate them all and drag and drop them and move them closer. So again, there's a functional improvement, but it still could have been done with the chart paper. Then we have modification. So then we can use something like an app I'm going to talk about later, but you could use Explain Everything to record the student's voice while they're annotating, so while they're writing. So you can see the student's work as they go through, and you can save it and send it to the teacher to view the lesson. And so that's modifying it. It's a significant change. So the teacher doesn't have to be standing beside the student directly. You know, we can reflect on it after. You know, sometimes you just have the student's work in front of you and you're going to assess and you're wondering, oh, how did they get that? Well, if you're recording what they're saying and what they're doing, then you can go back and see where that misconception is made or how they got there, which that's what it's a functional improvement, and it's really great for the teacher. And the last way is you could have two students in two different classrooms in two different towns consolidate their learning using Google Hangouts or Link or Skype. So, yeah. So where would games like the Flash on or Prodigy? Okay, so if I'm correct, Prodigy is very much like Dreambox. So it is like an adaptive software. So depending on how the student answers, it would determine what question would come next. Is that correct, Sarah? Okay, so I would say, yeah, it's probably augmentation because it's a direct. So what we might do to replace that in the classroom, if I was using paper and pencil, it might be a worksheet, but the questions can't really change on that worksheet. So, so that's where, Yeah, it depends on the game content. But I would say augmentation probably. There's another game very similar to it, except you have to pay for it, and it's called Dreambox. And I would think that it would fit, again, in augmentation. And we're going to talk a bit about that and where it might fall in the types of app too. So it is a good tool, and we'll talk about it. I think that if students are engaged and they're learning from it, I think that that's what we need to be thinking about. And then maybe we just think about how much we use it in our classroom, and maybe it's a tool they can use at home, or maybe it's something you use at center time. It just depends on how you use it and how you take advantage of it, because it's better than just a regular drill for skill because of the adaptive piece. And I'm not sure if there's like a tool in behind for you as the educator. I was introduced to it, I just haven't done it. So yeah. So when I think of the mindful integration of technology, I really do think about the TPACK model. So it, again, is a different kind of model to think about. And so if you're just starting to integrate technology in the classroom, I would say start with an area in the curriculum where you feel very, very comfortable. If you're nervous about teaching math, then I might not start the technology right away. I want you to build your comfort there before integrating the tech piece. So there's three kind of components to this. So there's three pieces to the TPACK model. So there's your knowledge piece. So there's pedagogical content, there's your knowledge, and then there's technological piece. So the knowledge of whatever it is that you are teaching, so the knowledge of the curriculum, let's say. So I'm aware of what the expectations are that I need to teach in mathematics. Then the pedagogical approaches to teaching that. So how do I teach math? What are the ways, different ways that I can teach these expectations? And then there's the technology piece. So what are the different ways or different types of technology that I can use that will help teach these? So when you have a strong understanding of the curriculum and you have a strong understanding of the pedagogical approaches, those two in combination with technology kind of give you the sweet spot, which, let me just get my pointer here, which is kind of right here in the middle. That's our sweet spot. And that is the ideal place that we want to be when we are teaching. We want to make sure that we have a strong understanding of the curriculum and how to teach it, and then the technology piece will come with a lot more ease. So, yeah, so it's just, so if people want to get into technology but they're hesitant, have them pick kind of like their favorite subject to teach, because when you feel more confident in what you're teaching, you're more willing to take risks. Because you know that, you know what, I'm going to try this, and we're going to see how it works, and if it doesn't go well, that's okay. And we're going to try and improve upon it. But if it's a subject area that they're not as confident with, and they try to use the technology, they might give up more easily. So we're all about finding success. We're all about taking baby steps or taking steps towards something. So those are things that we can share and encourage our staff when, or our colleagues, or even just think about yourself when you are going to implement technology. So I'm going to get into some apps now, and I don't want you to be overwhelmed here. I'm not going to talk about all of these apps, but they are examples of apps to think about. So when we think of any kind of app, we can categorize them into three different sections. Now, I'm going to have you listen to this very carefully because I want you to think about what kind of apps you use more often in your class. So there's the first kind, and that's the consumption app here, or consumption apps. And they are our drill for skill apps. They're the ones where we're just doing a bunch of drills over and over. It's fun, it's animated, but there's no real deep thinking happening. Okay. And then the other is our assistive apps, and we all know what those are, I'm sure. So there are apps that support our students. So like any sort of text-to-speech, speech-to-text. Oh, I don't have it on here, but there's a really cool app called Summly. And if you go to a website, it will summarize it for you in like a paragraph. So I keep thinking, like, where was that when I was in university? It would have been so much easier to say, like, you know, should I read this resource? But anyway, so that's an app that's going to help you. So there's things like timers. This one here is my script calculator. So yeah, inspiration. There's talking scientific calculator, a timer, dragon, and speak it. So we get those ideas. And then this is the kind of apps I'm probably going to spend most of my time on tonight, and it's the creative apps, because as I said, I think that it's important to use technology when we are maximizing the students' creativity, which is in those the 4 C's, right? So we talked about collaboration, communication, collaboration, communication, and so Sumly is the name of the app that you summarize. Okay, and I see that you have a question there. Does someone have a question? Yeah, the app is called Sumly, Sandra. Yeah, no, so a list of them. Michelle, were they put on the end, or we can add them to the end? But I can go through them if you want.
We will send everyone all the links, and if there are any links that you want to add at the end of your presentation, you just send them to me, and I'll make sure that everyone receives them tomorrow. Okay, so it's not a problem.
Okay, thank you. Okay, thanks. So this one here, if you are kindergarten, my son loves it. It's really basic for him though. He's ready for something more, but even like JK, early JK, it might be good. But it's monkey math. I'm just going to go through ones that don't have the names on it. So this one here is Factor Samurai, and this one is Mathy Balls, and this one is an Android app, and it's called Chicken Coop Fraction Games. But these apps here I'm going to talk to you about tonight. We're going to see all of them, but these are the apps that are getting students to create and really explore their thinking. And just, I have a lot I want to share with you tonight, so I am going to keep moving here. Okay, so the 3-part lesson plan, and I'm sure that you guys are aware of this. I'm just doing a recap so that we are all on the same page. So the before is kind of the part of the lesson that gets students mentally ready to work. You know, it kind of gets them fresh in their mind. You don't know where they're coming from, but this way we can all get on the same page. And you know, you just want to be sure that all the expectations for the product are clear, so that you have a clear idea of where we're going with this. You're just going to kind of bring them into the lesson. The during, again, these have all different names, like, yeah, but the during, so this could be like our working on it, our explore, our inquiry portion. This can be teacher-led, student-led. Can you hear me okay, everybody? Okay. Okay, I just see that one of our people can't hear me. Okay, most of you can. Okay, I'm going to keep going, and maybe Michelle can help her. So the during part is where the students are going to explore. You know, the teacher's doing a lot of listening. We're providing hints in the form of questions. So I often have my problem-solving rules up, and I tell them, when you ask this as like a question, I'm going to respond with an answer. And as educators, we're observing, monitoring, and assessing. And that's what we do during that phase. And then the after, we're going to have discussions as students justify evaluating their results. So, okay, so we're all on the same page with this. So what I'm going to do tonight is I'm going to talk to you about the different parts of, I'm going to talk to you about the different parts of the 3-part lesson plan, and I'm going to give you ideas of how we can use technology in there. So for the next piece, it's one of my favorite videos. It doesn't necessarily link to math per se, but it is about technology and saying that technology is for everyone, and it doesn't matter your age. Sometimes as a teacher, we need to be a little bit more involved to guide them and support them, but the reality is these kids have the technology in their hands at a very, very young age, so why not utilize it? But we have to, again, make sure that we're being mindful with that. So let's take a couple minutes to watch this adorable video, and we'll come back. So again, just give a check mark when you're back. I will say it's one of my favorites. I think those kids are just so darn cute. But I do want to say that there's a lot of learning that can happen, and we have to make sure that we put the technology in our students' hands, but we have to teach them how. So when I'm introducing these ideas to you, know that they might not know how to do it right away, and we need to model that for them. So I like how the teacher was sitting with them in a small group to model, and it doesn't matter how old they are. Sometimes you only need to show a couple features and they'll start showing you features, and I get that, but you can't just assume that they know how. And if you're just honest with the students and just say, okay, we're going to try something and see how it goes, I think that they're very appreciative of that, no matter what the age. So I just love that. I think it's a great video. I think it's really cute, those kids. And so at the end of the presentation, we can show the video that they made, but at the very end. So the before. So there's different parts of this there's a bunch of different things that I have on here, and these aren't the only ways to start off your lessons. They're just a few things to think about. So in here we have, I'm going to start over here. I'm going to start with our, I'm going to start with these. So these are just kind of like survey tooling devices. So there's Kahoot, Socrative, and Quizzes. I'm going to talk about those three first. So they all kind of do the same thing, but there are some differences between them. So I'm just going to kind of talk about some of the differences. So if you had a couple questions, maybe you have some questions from homework that you want to take up in a real quick way, giving them multiple choice and they could answer, you could use this. This is a great way just to give them, if you're in a bring your own device setting, this would be great because they all can use their own device and connect. So what I like about it is that it's quick, but students have to do the thinking, do the math, and then you can reflect on it. And maybe it's something, just a simple surveying tool that you could then use the data to graph and things like that. So it just depends on how you use it and you want to use it. But to start off the lesson, maybe it's taking up stuff from homework, but in a quick way that kids are going to be a little bit more excited about than just showing you their homework. So, so about having an account, Quizzes, you don't need an account to administer the quiz. You just kind of log on to the site and go. So sometimes there's the question and the answer that appear on one screen, and Kahoot does not show them both, but Quizzes and Socrative do. So they don't really have ready-made exit cards or anything like that, but you can certainly make them yourself. But you can do a quick search on other quizzes already made by people, and you can do that in Kahoot and Quizzes. And there are options for math-type questions in all three of them. But the only one that has an app for both Android and Apple is Socrative. The others don't, so just keep that in mind. But they all have a free account and they all have help, in case you're wondering. But those are kind of a rundown, but they're quick survey tools. But Socrative looks like it might be the winner because it has an account for both. But if you're looking for one that doesn't require you to have an account to administer it, Quizzes might be your way to go. So Plickers is awesome too. So if you don't have a lot of devices in your school, Plickers are really cool. So what you do with Plickers is you print out a card like this, one for each student. It's really small, so it would be a bigger one, probably about half the size of a page of paper. And kids would have them all, and I think they all kind of look slightly different if I'm correct, but I could be wrong. It's been a while since I used them. But what it is the kids would have the piece of paper. The teacher could ask the question, or give the question, and then when you're taking it up, the teacher's the only one that would have the device that can scan the results. So say you said, like kind of turn it to your answer, because whatever way you turn the symbol will tell you if it's an A, B, C, or D, or tell your phone that. So when you scan it with your phone, it gives you an idea if the class gets it or not. So it's just a different way to look at it. If you don't have a lot of devices in your room, Plickers might be worth the try. And it might be good maybe for junior and up, but I'm sure the grade 3s and maybe 2s could figure it out. But it's up to you. So there is an app, but you don't necessarily, you just need the app if you're the one, like if you're the teacher that's going to scan it on your phone, so to speak. It's really cool. And the other thing too I like to use is sometimes QR codes. It's like taking the kids on like a little, I don't know, like a little scavenger hunt. So I don't know if you've seen these little QR codes, these little blurry codes. Oh, you grade 2s use flickers in your school. That's awesome. Good to know, Laura. Thank you. So flickers can be used. I think again we just have to teach them and they'll get it. And I think it's worth a try, and I think they'll find it fun, but you'll find it fun too because you get quick, immediate feedback. So then you can determine, do the kids get this? Can I kind of move on, or do I need to spend a little bit more time on it? It's really good. QR codes. So these are like the blurry codes, and they're all over the place now. They're in advertisements. They're on. I see them on like for sale signs and stuff. You can go to the code, and it'll take you to a video, a picture, a website. It can take you to a variety of forms of media. It's up to you. But it's so QR stands for quick response, and this one here, I don't know if they'll work because it's a picture of my Word file, but they'll scan. So for like an early primary, they'd scan it in and they'd have to name the shape. So I'd scan it in, one of them would be a triangle, they'd have to try and write triangle. Maybe you have that around the room for them to write, I don't know, and then they draw a picture of it. So even your students that can't write the name, they can still enter into it by practicing drawing, which is good. If I'm thinking kindergarten, it's good for that fine motor practice anyways. And then maybe they need a scribe and they'll tell you this, but I don't know. So I know that we use a lot of QR codes in across the board, but in primary they tend to use it a lot, even in kindergarten. So at one of their stations in my son's class, it was pizza, and they decided to name it Pizza Hut. And a lot of them were making the pizzas, which was a lot of fun, but the teacher wanted to kind of step it up. So she made 2 QR codes and put it by the station, and one of the QR codes led them just as someone came for their meal. So then immediately the play started to include some exchange of money, or at least payment, like, you know, so then they talked about, the teacher then started to talk about, well, what might they be paying for, and then they said their food, so then they talked about kind of what goes on the menu. So they made a menu and kind of had prices, so then it just brought the level of play a little bit higher. And then the other one's more for fun, but it was someone using pizza dough and kind of like, what's it called, flipping it in the air, I don't know. So then the kids kind of had fun with that. I don't know if that's something that I would introduce in kindergarten, but definitely made for an interesting day. So an interesting center, like just using these little QR codes. It's not the teacher saying, but they've talked about QR codes, and then they see them, and then I wonder what it is. It might just bring the level of play that much deeper or greater. So you can make them on a variety of pages and sites, but one of my favorite places to go is qrstuff.com. And you know what? I didn't have this in the list, Michelle, I don't think. So I'll just write it in, qrstuff.com. Again, it's really, 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 really easy to use. You just go, oops, clearly I can't spell. So it's really easy to use. You just go in and you type, like on the one side you click what kind of media you want, and then the other one in the middle you put the link if it's a video or a picture, and then it creates the code right there, and you can change the color and download it. And then, or you can copy the picture and insert it into something. It's free, it's easy, it's really quick. I had a lot of fun with it. But other ways, and it's an easy way to integrate, is the use of video. Video and images. And so earlier on, Michelle and I should have started with it, but I guess I thought we had a lot of videos, so I wanted to stop it. So Michelle put about 4 links there. So the first one is the 101cues.com. It says Nana's Paint. It's a little video. It's about 50 seconds. Definitely, oh yeah, it's up in there. So I want us to watch the first video. The next 3 are just resources, but I want us to watch the very first link. So it's the 101qs.com 2841-nanas-paint. So I want us to click on that, and we'll come back. So just a check mark when you get back. Okay, so many of you are back. The video is super slow for you. Sorry to hear that, Vera. It's just a quick 40 or 50-second video. And so it is a great way to provoke math thinking. And so as a mind's on, I might just show the video and say, okay, like, so what he did is he did 1 red to 4 white or 5 white. And then it was supposed to be 5 red to 1 white, so the grandma wants to know, can you fix it? So, and that's it. So then I would just say, or Nana wants to know. So I would just ask them, what information do you need? Do you need any information for this, or is this enough? And then I would just let them go to work. But it sparks their interest just a little bit. And maybe that's it. And you're using technology in a very minimal way, but we're using it, and it's engaging them, and it's getting them to think. So the links are posted before, but Dan Meyer has a whole spreadsheet of these. And now the expectations that he covers are aligned with the Common Core standard in the States. However, you can go through and see if it's a fit for your class or not. So that is Dan Meyer. And then one of our very own from Ontario really follows Dan Meyer, and his name is Kyle Pierce. He does some OTS sessions here with us as well. And he has some of his own, very good for more 6, 7, 8, I would say. He is a coach in the Windsor area. Yeah, Tap Into Team Minds, and he's got some really great ones. I actually did the ones, I'm not sure if you've heard of Doritos Roulette. They're chips, and some of them are super spicy, and I got the idea from him. It was a lot of fun. Really, really fun things. And then the last one, there's some really great videos, and the graphing videos. They are graphing stories. So yeah, oh, he had some PD with Dan Meyer. That's awesome. These graphing stories are also something that I just kind of stumbled. I saw it a while ago, forgot about it, and stumbled upon them. And it's really good if you are trying to get your students to really think a little bit more critically about what's going on and picture it. Again, it might be more intermediate, but there might be something in there for you. So I just wanted to kind of give you some ideas, but these are just a few, and I know that there's tons and tons and tons out there, but I'm kind of right on time here, but just if you had any other tools or ideas or things that you use to start your lesson, maybe feel free to share them in the chat. But there are tons of things we can do with technology. I hope that I've sparked an interest so far of how we can start our lesson. And now we're going to go to kind of my bigger part. There's a lot. I've got about 3 slides here. So just starting with Minecraft. And so one of the schools in our board is for students with learning disabilities. Specifically for them, they're there for a short period of time, and they get support they need. And we see a huge growth because the classes are significantly smaller. And their teacher started to use Minecraft this year, and he introduced me to it. I've heard of Minecraft, never played it, but hadn't played it, and really had a hard time. Like, I was hesitant about it because I was like, it's just a game for kids. And then I went to a conference and someone else spoke on it, and I said, okay, let's do this. So we started kind of with the basics, looking at area, perimeter, and volume. But then we moved to things like kind of a fraction like looking at fractions and decimals and percents. I think that we could use this because we start area and perimeter at such a young age, and I think in grade 3, yes, grade 3 for sure could use it if you're looking at area. So it's just by counting the squares, and then grade 4 we move to like by layer, and then in grade 5 we move to the volume piece. So there is an education version. Maybe look and see if your board has it to try and get in on that, because you'd need like board permission to do that. We've had to jump through some hoops to get them set up. Our whole board isn't using it, just those upon request right now. He's kind of trying it out. So he teaches learning disabled, and they are grade 7 and 8. And he said that just a huge interest, and he's noticed like their ability to do this and Explain It is far more superior, and that they're in some tasks they're spending more time on it than what they had before. So that's Minecraft. And then here I've got some, I guess I call them, oh, what do I call them? Recordable, digital recordable whiteboards? No, recordable interactive whiteboards is what I call them. And it's anything from, if you've heard of Explain It, anything, Explain Everything. Oh my gosh, I'm having a problem today. EduCreation, Lens2Create, ScreenChomp, Doodlecast Pro, Show Me. There's tons of them out there. But essentially, they record what you're saying. They can take pictures, and they allow you to annotate. And actually, Explain Everything, sorry, not anything, Explain Everything allows you to put in videos too if you want. So really, really great tool. And in here, I want you to just look at a way one teacher used it, but then I want to talk to you about a different way that we can use these recordable, interactive recordable whiteboards. And I do think that this is probably our power tool in math when it comes to if we're using assistive technology, if we're engaging our students, kind of using it to the fullest. Like I think that these sorts of devices are the way to go. So this is just a different way than how I would typically do it. So if you could take a moment to watch this, is the EduCreations link. Yeah, I like the app, the snip. Yeah, it is. And I'm going to talk about OneNote as well as we go on. But so, Michelle, do you have this link here for the EduCreations?
No, sorry, I don't have it. Do you have it?
Oh, sorry.
I'm sorry. You know, it's I
went through them too.
I think I'm missing it. What is it? Hold on a second. Let me check.
I thought you had it. You know what? It's okay. I think I maybe. That's okay.
I don't think. I don't think I have it. I'm sorry.
Anyway, so I don't have it either. So that's weird. I thought I put it there, but I didn't. Okay, that's fine. Sorry about that, guys. Essentially, what the student did was she took. The idea was for her to compare right angles, acute angles, and obtuse angles. And so she took pictures around the classroom. And you can kind of see right here, these 3 pictures are her right angles. These 3 pictures are her acute, sort of. She kind of, this one here I think is not. But anyways, we could see that she had an idea of what acute was. And then these are her obtuse angles. So what she does is she has the pictures and she starts talking. She's got this cute little voice. And she draws the line of the angles, and then she talks about how these are 90. This is a right angle. It is 90 degrees. These are acute angles because they're less than 90. So she goes on, and then she stops. So the teacher used it more as like at a center, students were working on different things. So she had, I think, well, she had a ton of iPads in the school, but she had 5 for the day. In this center, the kids were doing this, and then she could kind of look back on it after. So instead of marking, okay, I'll get you the link there at the very, very end of it. I'm so sorry about it. So she used EduCreations for this, but you can use any sort of recordable interactive whiteboard. But she used it just as a center, a different way for our centers. I found that when I started using technology in the classroom and I wanted to do centers, I started to use drill for skill apps, but I think that we can have our students doing more where they're being creative. This is a grade 4 class. So what we did is, so they used it, they went around the classroom and took pictures, and then they kind of went to a quiet space and recorded their thinking and how they knew. And then the teacher could use that, she could share it with her parents. She has it just so she can go back and reflect on it. Just the same as if I had her do a worksheet, I'd have to kind of assess it to get an idea of what she knows. So it's not like it's anything more, but I don't have to take the device with me because what happens is it gets saved online, and as a teacher I can go online from my computer at home or where my iPad from home and just kind of watch them, which is kind of good. There's a way to set it up that way. So Explain Everything, this first one here, and Lens2Create are on both Android and Apple. And ScreenChomp, I think, is just iPad. ScreenChomp has less features, and it's better just kind of for the younger ones, but I found that the sharing part wasn't as easy. And EduCreations used to be a lot better, I feel. They kind of have to sign on an account and have your students sign on an account, and they have a login that's separate. So it's a little bit more work. I used to use it all the time, but now we have here. So okay, any strategies for recording in a live classroom? So yeah, you could do one group at a time in the hall. You could yeah. So just asking the students to just be a little bit clearer. I think that is something we need to kind of work around. But I think if everyone's kind of working on things differently, I think as long as they're clear and they're speaking into the mic, I think you can pick it up. And if not, you can ask them to redo it. But I think I used to just do groups in the hall too, where we would all, like, depending on what I was doing with it. So with my 7 and 8s, I had them take kind of key big ideas throughout the year and kind of do like a Khan video, like a Khan Academy video. So they were kind of shotting it. Okay, so the other names. So this one here with the light bulb is Explain Everything. This one here is Lenzu Create, and I'll write it in the box. And this one here is Screen Chomp. So Lenzu Create, Explain Everything. Okay, but again, there's Doodle Crosspost. Explain Everything has a cost. It's $3.99, but I would say it's pretty superior. Okay, I'll try and connect. Vera, thank you for coming out. Okay, so moving on, we have our journey. So, or continuing on with journey, oh my goodness. So using Skitch. So Skitch is like a photo annotation sort of resource. So it allows you to annotate videos. You can, so here it is an example of looking for the volume of something at home, and they can write on it. They can use arrows. They have straight line options or shapes. There's a lot of really cool things you can do with it, and there's just a couple examples of how you can use it in math. Photobabble. So, because I do a lot of work with students that aren't my own, I wasn't able to get students to really participate. I did get my son to do this second one, but it was really kind of very guided. I set it up, and he just kind of did it. So there's 2 links there just to get an idea. This first one is a grade 6 assessment question from EQAO, and all I did was take a picture of it, and I asked the students to explain kind of, to bump it up. What did the student do? The student got a code 20, kind of like a level 2. This very first one up here is Skitch. Oops, without the E, sorry. Skitch is this first one up here. And this one down here, I use Photobabble. Another one very similar to it is VoiceThread. I'm sorry, I'm having a hard time. I feel like I'm talking really deep, so thank you for your patience, though, Tracy. I will always repeat. So Michelle put the links in here for Photobabble, just so you can get an idea. Maybe just choose one and watch one, but I'm going to tell you, this one's really basic. My son is just counting how many are there, but I did group them, hoping that he might try something different, but he didn't. He just counted them. And then this one here, I took a student's response and used my own words. I didn't have permission from the teacher. I couldn't even remember what student I copied it from, so I just kind of took what she said and ad-libbed, just so you get the idea. I just didn't have the permission. So watch one, and then come on back.
Crystal, the 2 links there actually are not leading to a video. I don't know if you have the link to the video, but these 2 links are not going there.
Okay, so I just clicked the second one, I don't know. Let me just check and see what one I clicked on. With the R, so I clicked on the second one, I think. And it took me to my son's video. So So when you get there, you have to, it just says play photobabble. So it's not like a YouTube video?
Yeah. It's actually working, but the arrow is a white arrow on a white background, so it's not very visible, but there's an arrow in the middle of the drawing where you can click and start watching it. Sorry about that.
Yeah, no, that's okay. I was able to access both of them, and I'm not sure if that, it might be mine automatically goes to Explorer even though I use Chrome, so I'm not sure why. Well, there's no active video, so you just see the picture. Are you able to see the picture, Krista? Okay. So essentially it's just a picture and you hear the audio. So I shouldn't have shown you the other one with the interactive recordable whiteboard, but it's just a different way to look at things. And we can have simple kind of regurgitation, so my son just counted for you, or we can have them bump it up, which is just a different way to look at it. So has anyone here used Skitch, photobabble, or VoiceThread? Yeah, so photobabble, actually, when you do a search on photobabble is when you do a search in Apple, just go under iPhone only. It'll still work on an iPad, but it mainly is an iPhone app. And I found out about another one called Squeak, but I wasn't able to find it today, so I didn't add it. I'd like to explore a bit more with that one, but same idea. We can, in the middle of it, this could be a center, this could be something they do in pairs, this can be something they do individually. You know, you just give them the task, it's coming up with the task. So maybe their homework is finding the picture in the real world, and then they can use Skitch if they have Skitch at home, and then they can find the parallel lines of two angles that are cute. Or maybe you have them have some pictures already on the devices, just take a screenshot, have them on the devices and say, pick one and identify this, this, and this. So Skitch, you cannot add the voice piece, but you can do a lot of annotation. So it's kind of like a substituting. You still can do this on paper and pencil, but it's just a little bit more fun. photobabble allows you to take the picture and talk about it, talk about how you got it or how they got it, bump it up. Okay, so there's just some different ways to do it. So here I have some ideas. So last year I attended the Google Apps for Education Summit that was in Ottawa. Funnily though, we are a Office 365 board, but I did go to the Google Apps Summit, and I had the opportunity to see Sandra Chow speak. She is a presenter here with OTF, and her Twitter is there below. She has some great resources and great things to offer. So she uses Google Slides, and you could do the same thing using PowerPoint online if you are an Office 365 school. So what I like about it is that she would put the same question on all the slides and then kind of put the kids' names on it and say, this is the question you're doing. And they would work in pairs, side by side, talking, but putting and explaining their thinking. She had the success criteria there. And yeah, students can slide down the Google Slides because it's all interactive and they can see what other kids are doing to give them an idea, but they're not talking, it just gives them an idea. So if you're interested in using Google Slides or even PowerPoint online, check out her past webinars. yeah, she has 3 or 4 of them up, but these ones here will give you, this gives you an idea. These are from her presentation. Another one too, if you're in Office 365, is using OneNote. Now this is a picture of the OneNote app, which has limiting features. It again allows you to have the picture and annotate, but if you use the desktop version on like a Surface or any sort of touch screen, you can annotate and record as well. And then someone suggested the snip. I think it's a little bit more than just snip. It's an app, and I used to have it, but I don't because I had to restart my computer many times. And I'm not sure who suggested that they used snip, and they had the link, but that would be another great tool that allows you to record the audio, draw, and yeah, and have the pictures there. So that's the during portion of the lesson, and I spent a good chunk of time there. So there are other ways that we can ignite the thinking and allow students to explain their thinking and collaborate while they're doing it. In many of these activities that I have here, so using the PowerPoint and that sort of stuff, I would definitely have them collaborate and pair up. I would probably have them, in the during, it would probably be pairing up unless I'm doing centers. So this is a handout here that's quite blurry, but I'm going to send Michelle the link after to it, because I made this for a parent night. Now, I made it many years ago, and as far as I know, these are still only available on iPad. But what I really like about them is that it gives kind of that virtual manipulative touch. But these ones are done by the Math Learning Center, and they're really great. They're easy to use. They're fun. Again, they don't record, but what you could do is you could do what they call app smashing. So you use 2 apps in one. So you could have them use, this one here is Google Shapes. So they have, or not Google Shapes, Pattern Shapes. So they have different names, but it's the same as Pattern Blocks. So you could have them figure it out, take a picture of it, and then they could upload it into one of the recording apps, and they could explain their thinking in a little bit more detail. So you could use more than one app at the same time. That's for our advanced level. But so this handout here has some sample questions that parents might ask at a variety of levels. So if you're going to use the Geoboard app, you might say, a shape has the area of 8. How many shapes can you create? So again, students are creating. It's a little bit more engaging, but it's also like a direct substitution. But for whatever reason, this is a lot better than having elastics flying across your room. Again, there's just a bunch of apps that I really, really, really like the Math Learning Center. I'm going to send Michelle the link to this so you can have a clearer copy of it. Below there is some information about some interactive recordable whiteboards. That is, the app images are a little dated, but yeah. So, and I really think that these math manipulatives can, math manipulatives can really be done in all parts. So, yeah, all the links will be emailed to you after the webinar, Sarah, probably tomorrow, I believe. Michelle will debrief. I'll make sure that the photo or the education goes on there. So I'm just writing down a little note. Okay. So moving on to the after the end of our lesson. So I'm going to tell you this. This app I just found right here. It is called Chatter Picks for Kids. And I'm going to tell you this. I fall in love with it. I just have a little bit of fun with it. So my son and I used it a little bit, and he can't get enough of it. He keeps going back and playing with it. So what I did is I took some screenshots of some different shapes. So if I was working with shapes, and so I took a screenshot of just the rectangular prism you can see here, and then you can add these other features, and then it allows you to kind of talk and add detail. So kids can get creative and have fun with it, but you can get the pertinent information and knowledge that they know. So if you just want to take, like, it's just 16 seconds long, I just want you to watch that little thing just so you can get an idea of what it looks like. And it was really easy to share on YouTube as well. So again, just a check mark when you're back. So the first time I used the app, my voice sounded really deep, as it might tonight. It's just because I have a cold. But so I tried to go a little bit more high pitched. But I used this activity with one of my classes. So we did. There's an effective guides to instruction. I'm sure you've heard of them in mathematics. And we did there's a really great lesson in there that really talks about the structures, and it can really talk about the edges and the points, and it was using clay and straws to create them. So we did that the one day, and then the next day we started using technology. We started to talk about the different faces. So this is a really good kind of consolidation piece. The students had fun with it. Because it was their first time using it, we introduced it as a whole class, and they were able to explore with it. And then the idea would be later on, we'll do things a little bit more individually. My son was able to take the picture. So my son is SK, and he's not on the iPad that often, but he was able to take the picture from the gallery, input it. He was able to draw the line to make the mouse, and he was able to add the stamps after I'd sit down and talk to him. And so all he did was this triangle one. It says, I am a triangle. But I didn't put it up there. But so again, we can do a lot with it. So yeah, this video was made on the app called Chatter Picks Kids, and it's by Duck Duck Moose. So it's a lot of fun. I really like it. So another way we can use technology is with Twitter, and you can either actually have kids actually tweet things and have like a classroom hashtag, or you can have students just write it on like a little piece of chart paper or a little piece of paper and just post it around the room. So like, let's kind of highlight what we learned from today's lesson in less than 140 characters, which really makes them think. And I think that we can use this with any grade. It's just limiting it and calling it something different. You know? Another way I always like to consolidate my learning, or like kind of a bit of consolidation meets independent practice, is almost like an exit card. And so we started using this down here is Padlet. So we started to use Padlet as a means to put all our answers, everyone's sharing. So this was just a grade 6 multiple choice question. I had the kids put their answers on here, whether it be A, B, C, D, or they put the actual number. And then I had a quick reference I could drag and drop. But again, this is just something that was really quick, and I could get an idea of it being done. Very, very, very similar product is Lino, and it's kind of like Post-it notes on a corkboard. And I used this, we were doing a big data collection, so we had a bunch of probability things happening around the room, and we had kids record their data so that we could look at the bigger picture of the data and calculate that as a class. So there's just a few ways that we can use technology at the end of our lessons to consolidate the learning. So that brings me to the end of my presentation. Yeah, line of it. So I know I did a lot of talking. There wasn't a lot of interaction on your end, and I apologize. But I just was wondering if you had any questions, concerns, and I did want to show you the kindergarten video that kindergarten class made if you're interested in watching it. But just, are there any questions at this point? Oh, I think a lot of it was done during my role as a technology integration educator. Pinterest is good for coming up with ideas, but I follow a lot of people that do a lot with technology on Twitter, and so I find out Twitter is a really great source of PD for me. But these are just some. I hope that I've sparked an interest for you. Well, follow me, and then I'll send some along. It just depends, Julie. I'm not sure what grade you teach, but if you follow me, I can, or even just, I don't know. If you follow me, I can make some suggestions. I just have to look. There I am. I'm a C Lake 04. Follow me, I'll follow back. But I hope that you got something out of this. I know that we're all at different levels and at different parts in our technology journey. I just wanted to make sure that there was something for everyone. So thank you all for coming. If you don't have any questions, we did end a bit early. So I was on time. Oh, thanks, Tracy. Thank you all. Some people were in and out of rooms like 5 or 6 times, so I thank them all for coming back too.
Crystal, let's watch the video. Since we have a few minutes, I'm going to post the link. Do you know how long that video is?
Oh, yeah, that is it right there. Yeah.
Yeah. How long does it take? Let's watch it. We have a few more minutes, and then if there are more questions, we'll take them, and then we'll say goodbye to everybody. Okay, so let's watch that video.
Okay. I'd say most probably are done, but it's super cute.
Yes, I think we are pretty much done. I don't know if there are any additional questions. Otherwise, I will conclude tonight's session a bit early, but it's great. We did very well with the timing. Thanks so much, Crystal, for your presentation and for your enthusiasm as always. And I really noted that you always try to fit a butterfly in your presentations. There was one in the first one I moderated, and there was one in this one as well. I also want to thank all of you for being such incredibly motivated participants and dedicated teachers. And despite the few glitches that we experienced today, at this point, if you have been on a number of OTF Connect sessions before, and if you are eager to return to your family for the remainder of the evening, I simply want to wish you a very good night, and also let you know that due to some small technical difficulties, the usual survey page may not be available when quitting Blackboard. Usually when you quit Blackboard, you are redirected to a survey page. It may not work tonight. However, we will provide you with a link to the survey tomorrow, and then you will have 24 hours to complete that survey, 24 hours from tonight. For those of you who are new to OTF Connect or can spare a few additional minutes, I would like to give you a few additional pieces of information before we conclude the session. We have a number of exciting sessions coming up, a few of them related to mathematics. I'm moderating for Maria Van Wallis this Thursday, April 28th. Her topic is how do we assess the mathematical mind, and I obviously invite all of you to register and participate in this session if you can. Aussi, excellente nouvelle pour nos collègues francophones. Nous avons également quelques sessions en français planifiées pour les prochains mois. La session de Suzanne Forrester le 30 mai est intitulée « Le français en tant que deuxième langue ». Cette session sera principalement en français, mais Suzanne est parfaitement bilingue et bien entendu les interventions et questions en anglais sont toujours bienvenues. I also want to remind you to please visit our calendar page and our past webinar resources. I'm going to paste these two links into the chat box so that you have access to them, and we will give them to you again tomorrow. I would like to tell you also about another opportunity. It's provided by OTF and the Ministry of Education. If you are a qualified teacher and completed an additional qualification course in mathematics, technology, or kindergarten, you may be eligible for a $450 subsidy. And I'm going to paste again into the chat box the link that you would need in order to apply for that subsidy. So that's it for tonight. We would like to, as I indicated before, obtain your feedback on tonight's session, but the survey unfortunately may not be provided when you're leaving Blackboard due to technical difficulties, but this link will be available tomorrow. We will send it to you in an email along with the all the links and all the resources that we have seen tonight. As a new feature of our webinars, OTF would like to offer you a small bonus as a token of appreciation for your participation. Once you will have completed the feedback questionnaire tomorrow, you will be redirected to another page allowing you to enter your name. You will then receive a certificate of participation to this training session that you will be able to add to your professional learning resume. Please note that the certificate of participation is only available for 48 hours following this session. So please try then to fill up that questionnaire tomorrow. And as I said many times, if you missed anything tonight, don't worry. We will send you tomorrow a follow-up email with all the links as well as the recorded session and the feedback survey and the archived presentation. I will now end the recording of the session. Please feel free to remain online if you wish to ask Crystal a few additional questions once the recording has ended. Otherwise, I wish you all a very good evening. Thank you once again for your participation in tonight's session, and we hope to see you soon on OTF Connects.